afternoon, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some folks, depending on where you're located. This is Robin Billups. This is the community briefing. It's Thursday, April the 9th, 2026, and we have a lovely guest coming on who's really, really active in the marketplace right now. I'm going to kick it over to Crystal so we can get started, and I'll come back in a few minutes.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Glad to have you. Welcome to the community briefing. This is the place where you come to meet all the, as a new guest came in and said, where you meet all the Black excellence all in one place. And so, and it makes his day. So I'm going to steal that from here on out. This platform was inspired by myself to make sure that we knew who and what and where everything that we needed as a community was, and who we needed to contact if we needed something. And so this is the purpose of the platform. We started in during the pandemic, and now we're, I think, in our seventh year. And so we're going to give ourselves a big clap for that. And we have just met some incredible people in that 7 years, some amazing people doing things in our community, behind the scenes, the quiet ones, the vocal ones, the introverted ones, the extroverted ones, and then it's us. And even the guests are incredible, and we've had some of them on as well. My name is Crystal Mitchell. I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as a business owner myself, an entrepreneur here in the community. I'm a business coach, and I help our small business community reach success through support of the coaching community and those of us that have been out there doing this stuff for a while. And we have a fabulous, fabulous team. And you're meeting two of us today, the women power today. The men power are off doing their thing. So Mr. Greg Sneed, he is usually our MC, and he's on a plane for his business, which is Lifesaver Financial. And so he helps you find your money when it gets lost. I think that's his little key right there.
Gonna get
And
you for
then
that one.
and Mr. Steven Turner, who is our producer, he's pretty awesome. We couldn't do this without him. He's at the DMV. He just texted me and said he'll log in shortly. And so, and then our guest today, we are monetarily we're supported and powered and supported by the Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA, the Black Business Association. And anyone that was at her Salute to Women last week, that was just off the chain. She did a fabulous job. And then we're monetarily sponsored by Los Angeles LDC, Southern California Edison, SoCal Gas, PCR, Wells Fargo Bank, and Urban Excellence. And with that, I am now going to turn it over to Robin. She's going to introduce herself first and give us our messaging. And look at Miss Bianca. Are you on vacation, girl? Can we come? She's going to give you our message and encouragement that we need to be doing leading up to June 2nd. And with that,
Yes.
I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Robin.
Greetings, everybody. Again, it's Robin Billups with the Billups Group. As Crystal said, most of us are business coaches. I like to assess, coach, and help folks to get to a strategic framework around the thought, idea, or blessing that the Lord had gave you. And but today we have a wonderful young lady who's joining us. Rakina Luckey is a TV writer with over 10 years of experience in the entertainment industry and credits that include the Disney Channel Saturdays. And she's also the founder of the 5 Foot Crown. I'm gonna want to know about why that name, where'd you get that name from? She's also the founder of 5 Foot Crown, a production company specializing in expert script writing services for writers of all skills levels. The company has produced sold out theatrical productions in Los Angeles, Take This Man and Take This Man to Christmas. In April, meaning this month, as a matter of fact, this weekend, the company is premiering a theatrical experience called Love on Retreat. Let me just say on a personal note, as we mentioned, as Crystal mentioned, every week I'm on my soapbox, and the soapbox has to do with voting. And let's just remember again that I have to look at my note, and I always want to make sure I say it right. Voting is your rights. You're voting for your rights and for the resources. Do not take your feelings into the polls. make sure you do your research because those people are representing you. You need to hold them accountable. So it's their rights and rights and your resources. And when you don't vote, you're giving somebody else permission to represent you. So my vote today was to have this young lady join us, Rakina Luckey. I'm going to kick it over to her so she can get us started, and she's going to give us a little bit of background on how you got, where you're from. I did look up, forgot. She is a Trojan. She got her master's in professional writing from SC. She's also an LMU alum, BA in communications. She has a wonderful family. I've watched this young lady grow up, and I'm so proud of who she is and how she represents our family. So I'm going to turn over the mic to Rakina Lucky.
Thank you. I was like, oh, that is amazing. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me this morning. As a previous attendee, I've learned so much. So just understand how humbled I am to be here this morning. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see what I'm looking at? And can you hear me? Yes, I see
Yes,
thumbs. I see thumbs.
yes.
Okay, so good morning. Welcome to the nuances in storytelling. What it's like to tell the story right now, as a Black writer, that is a thing, right? And so on
Mhm.
Saturdays, I was a writer's assistant. And I'm gonna give you a quick story and then I'll go back and tell you about myself. But a quick story on Saturdays is we are writing for these young women, three young women who were just coming of age. And the story was based in Chicago. And we're talking about women that are like maybe 16 years old.
Mhm.
And one of the writers suggested, well, why don't we have, them say this? And I just politely raised my hand and I said, well, in my family, if I would have said that, my mother would have taken that to be disrespectful. And some of the other writers say, yep, mine too, mine too, mine too, mine too. And at the heart of it, I believe that that is a nuance in storytelling, is us bringing our communication, our experiences to the forefront. Because we all have, while it's a collective lived experience, specifically being a Black person, we have a different lived experience within this country that not any other, in my opinion, cultures can really kind of speak to. And so with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I already said, but I am an 80s baby. I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. My mom took me to church. She did not play. We were in everything. Okay. I went to Bishop Montgomery High School. And then, yes, I did go to Loyola Marymount, where I got my communications and African American Studies bachelor's. I went over to the University of Spoiled Children. I'm just kidding. I went to USC, and
And
that's
regular
where
folks.
and that's where I got my master's. And then I was also in the Intuit program last year, and it was beautiful. The coaching, the resources that they have, the buy-in to the person is really strong. So I definitely highly recommend that program. At 5 Foot Crown, our mission is to help you crown your creative. Now, whether that's through our
Mhm.
services or through our merchandise, that is our mandate. A part of our mission is to share the African American experience with the world through our artistic expression. It's where our community takes center stage. Here is a lovely view of my board of directors, and a little bit about their backgrounds. You can find that on our website, fivefootcrown.com, if you'd like to learn more about them. A little bit about what we do is we were formerly called Kindred Spirit Entertainment. And just to give you some background into that, there are at least 150,000, and I'm not kidding, businesses in Los Angeles County that have either Kindred or Spirit or Kindred
Spirit.
Spirit Entertainment in it. And so
Mhm.
to answer the question that you asked, it's 5 foot because that's how tall I am. And so I had to make it, I had to rename it to be something that was a little bit, more personal to me. They say great things come in small packages.
Mhm. There you go. Claim it.
um, our services. So we're designed to help from both sides, right? So developing, you just having the idea, and then also on the production side, you have it and you just need help executing it. So on the development side, we have a course called Writing with Luck, which is where I take anyone, right? You could be a novice writer. You could be a veteran who's been doing this for years and you just need help trying to figure out your idea. We sit down with you. We even do one-on-one consultations. So maybe you already have your script together, but you need what we call script coverage. You need me to read through it and give you some feedback on, okay, well, this character is working, or these three are not. Or maybe let's try moving it to a different time period. Or are we sure we need this to be in LA? Maybe we should move it to St. Louis. And then we also will go through and help you, excuse me, if you just have an idea and you're like, okay, I just need to figure out how to get the first 5 or the first 10 pages together. We also have that service as well. On the production side, we produce 2 productions every year, one in April and one in the fall. Oh, it went backwards, just kidding. Our merch, we currently have 3 options for you: our 5-foot crown legacy mug, our 5-foot crown snapback, and then the 5-foot crown notebook. This is a slogan that definitely I want people to remember, right? Get it out of your head and get it on the pages in that book. Okay? Because that's the only way that we go from this is a great idea to this is a great production. In April, actually, in 2 days, our April production for this month will be happening at the Miracle Theater. It's in Inglewood, California. It's called Love on Retreat, and it follows these 3 lovely couples that you see through a day and a half on their couples retreat. So you have your newlyweds that are currently on the left-hand side of the screen, who just, love everything about each other, right? Just how you breathe, just, I love it. I just need to be next to you. You have on the far right, you have the veteran couple. They've been married since high school, so they have their own language, right? They also have been through some things, so they're a little bit more seasoned, right? And then in the middle, they've been married for about 10 years, and as you can see, they're just trying to see if we still want to do this. So with a mix of comedy and drama, it's going to entertain, it's going to educate, it's going to empower, prayerfully, it's going to heal. And tickets, if you don't have them already, are available at themiracleinglewood.com. On April 11th, we premiere at 7 p.m. And then on April 12th, we follow up at 4 p.m. We're going to have a youth summer theater workshop in July. So on Saturday, July 11th from 10 to 1. If you have students who are interested in acting or in creative writing, go ahead and send them to 5footground.com where they can get more information about that workshop. We're going to have actors and creative and writers help them through that process and help them develop different skills that they can use if they see a future in the arts. More information to follow. We also have the Queen's Court podcast, which is hosted by me. It's where specifically women, don't feel bad, man. We have something coming up for you, but where specifically women are able to share their insights, share their stories, share their unapologetic truths, right? And so each week we will highlight a film that speaks to the episode topic, as well as discuss different matters on identity, culture, career, love, and self-care. Because everyone has a story and everyone can tell a story because every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. When people tell me, oh, I can't write, I don't know how to do that. Yes, you do. You tell stories all day. You just need a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then in Queen's Court, it's that safe space where we are going to connect with the women, with uplifting the women and reigniting not just our passions, but your passions as well. I'm talking really fast. If you have any questions, this is my contact information. And then I can also go back in case anything was missed during that time. But that is a nice quick snapshot into 5-Foot Crown and then into me as well.
So, Rakina, tell us when you actually first started writing. Are you a journaler? Did you, and to me, I think we have a huge disparity in our reading in our community. So can you talk a little bit about how you started? When did you start writing? And also too, what is your reading skill set? How does that overlay with your writing?
Okay. When did I start? I believe I was either 8 or 9 years old, and my mom had a mandate that every summer you can play, you can, watch television. However, I need a book report every weekend or every other. I just remember I needed to do that book report, right? And so I I started reading different books and then would give her the book report at the end of the week. And this is before we had computers. So I actually had to handwrite
Mhm.
this book report. And it started off with just fiction, right? And so she would just whatever books I already had in our home library. And then there was an encyclopedia um, subscription that they had. And so every month or so, an encyclopedia came to the house. And so I would read up on something else, and then that became the book report. And then I started to realize, like, I have these stories and these ideas that just keep coming to me, so I'm going to write those. And I really credit my mom with supporting that idea, right? Like
Mhm.
she was always very great about, you're going to do something. You're going to do something great. Make
Mhm.
sure that you understand it, and make sure that at the very least you're able to read something and comprehend it. She used to say, make sure that you can enunciate and pronunciate. Like that was her little.
Mhm.
It's like, mommy, that's not
Yeah.
a word, but that's how that started. Now reading, that came much later, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
even now I'm in the middle of 5 books. Don't ask me. It's just always been my process. I get to about chapter 3, and then, oh, this one's pretty. Like, see a squirrel? That's me. And so I think it helps to inform specifically my writing
Mhm.
and script
Mhm.
writing, because it helps me create different characters, right? Who have a different lexicon. So I talk really fast, but I have friends who talk the complete opposite speed of me, or friends who take moments, right? Or
Mhm.
who talk
Mhm.
lower, and then other ones that talk
Mhm.
really, really loud, or ones that talk with their
Mhm.
hands, or ones
Mhm.
that, we could have an hour-long conversation where I'm talking most of the time and they say 3 things that are the most powerful 3 things that have
Mhm.
ever been said, right? And so even in reading like a Zora Neale Hurston or Maya Angelou is definitely one of my favorites. So I started to read their books, right? In college, I don't know why it was college, but in college specifically, autobiography of Malcolm X changed things. And I don't know if it's because I had just pledged or what, but my brain was like, by any means necessary.
Necessary. Yes.
And
Yes.
that became like my battle cry.
Mhm.
And so I tried to get my hands on anything. And then so it went from memoirs, right, to then more creative, like poetry, lyrics. I'm from South LA, so Tupac, obviously, because all songs are storytelling.
Yeah.
And then I want to say more recently, reading, well, after when I was in my program at USC, Sid Field was one of my professors. This is before he passed away. And if you know anything about screenwriting, Sid Field is the grand godfather of all things screenwriting. And he wrote a book called The Four Screenplays, where he basically takes anyone, if you want to be a screenwriter or if you just want to understand it, through the processes with 4 different screenplays. And it's like the foundation and beginning builder's block for screenwriting. And in one of our classes, he asked, how many scripts are you reading? And I had no idea what this, I had books. We read books. And we go to class, we read the book. What do you mean read a script? We watch the script. What are you talking about? And so in that, I was able to, there's a whole database of scripts where you can go through and read them, right? And so one of the first ones that I read was The Godfather. And just some of the things that you take for granted that aren't necessarily written down, or that are written down, and how the actor performed it in a different way.
Yeah.
Like it's mind blowing. Love and
Mhm.
Basketball was another one that I read. And so I just started reading different scripts to see how those writers approached that that medium, because it's different
Mhm.
for film as opposed to television, right? You have different
Mhm.
page numbers, you have different um, standard formatting. Um, so I started with the books and then transitioned over to the scripts. And so
That's
now,
excellent.
go ahead.
I'm just saying that's excellent. You
Thank
just,
you.
as you're talking, you literally have given us a walk through what this looks like, right? And it's not that we now we know, now as we read, as we attend theater, as we're looking, I'm going to look up these scripts. That's just so
Mm-hmm.
interesting to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
when you spoke about early on the nuances of storytelling, let's talk a little bit about your experience in college. You went to two major universities. You're an
Mm-hmm.
African American female from South
Mm-hmm.
Central Los Angeles. These are local schools, but those schools also have global citizenship,
Reach.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
talk to us about the nuances and the experiences that you had, because we have a lot of folks who dial in who have grandkids and kids, and we're again looking to help them navigate. And so talk
Right.
to us about those nuances, and how did you select LMU first as your undergraduate?
Well, I was going to Howard, quiet as
Mm-hmm.
kept. I was going. I had told my mother, this is just gonna have to, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I keep bringing up my mom because it was just me and her growing up. And so I told her, Howard is not that far. You can just hop on a plane, you'll be okay. But Howard was having an accreditation issue.
Mm-hmm.
And when I graduated, years ago, and she and she said, "You are not going to DC to come back the next month." And it just
Mm-hmm.
so happened that I had a meeting with the amazing Charles Mason at LMU. And if you've gone to LMU or know anything about LMU, you know that the Godfather, Mr. Mason, moved mountains to get us in there. I was actually a part of the biggest class of African American students, biggest incoming, and we were at 7%. So you can imagine what that was
Mm-hmm.
like, having 100 other kids
Mm-hmm.
at that school. Because even though it's close, you have some students coming from the South who've never met a Black person,
Yeah.
or coming from other countries who've never
Yeah.
interacted with us. And your only image is what the media has portrayed to you.
Correct.
So I was lucky enough and blessed enough to be a part of the learning community, which was a program that started 3 weeks before school started. And we were able to move in, live on campus, and go to different places around LA, while also taking we took a math class and a writing class, which we got credit for. And so it was kind of like an immersive experience at LMU to help the Black children and the Black students acclimate to LMU
Mm-hmm.
culture. Every year we had to march because somebody would write the N word on somebody's door. And this is it on the bluff, right? On Jefferson. Because you have people who are in the neighborhood, but
Of it.
they're
Yeah.
not of it. They don't
Yeah.
understand what's happening. But I had an amazing experience at LMU because the class sizes were so small and intimate. Once I
Mm-hmm.
got out of
Mm-hmm.
kinesiology, because I had to, that
Mm-hmm.
was another thing we had talked to me and my mom. I was like, I'm not gonna be a trainer. I'm not gonna be a doctor. I want to write full time. And when she, calmed down, it was like, okay, well, what is your plan for that? That was always the thought. How are you gonna,
Mm-hmm.
provide and all the things. And so the nuance kind of with that was how, yeah, I got a full ride. That's what I'm trying to get to, basically, right? So thank you, Mr. Mason. The only year I had to pay for, I think, was senior year, and I applied to the RA program, and so that covered my housing and my meal plan. So all I had to do was get a job to,
Expenses.
get whatever other little expenses I wanted to do. What was the second part of your question?
I was just asking you that same nuance at SC.
Oh,
Again, you're in a major university. It's a global campus,
it was different at SC because
and then you're in a master's. That was a master's program
I
too,
was
so
in a
that's a little
master's
bit different.
program.
Yeah.
It was different. And because my classes were at night,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then I worked full time and I had two part-time jobs to pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I would
Mm-hmm.
park my car, go to class, and get back in my car. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a polar opposite experience because where I was
Mm-hmm.
immersed at LMU, right, where I was, president of this organization, president of this one, secretary of the BSU, and all these other different things. At SC, I was not involved in
Mm-hmm.
anything. I went to the school and then I
Mm-hmm.
went home because I
Mm-hmm.
had to fund it.
Yeah.
And so, I wanted to. I just got my first SC sweatshirt and I graduated in 2011. I just got it last last year. Um, but that was a part of it. And then even still with me doing that and not necessarily being able to be as active on campus as I wanted to be, I was able to be a part of the alumni association, and
Mm-hmm.
they granted me with one of their book scholarships both years that I was a student there. And so
Mm-hmm.
I really do appreciate that even though I was not as involved with the campus, I still felt a part of it because they reached back and said, "We know
Mm-hmm.
you're not. We see you. We know you're not
Yeah.
able to come to everything, but here, how can we be resourceful to you? How can we help you in your continued studies?" And that was
That's
something that I
wonderful.
feel like really changed things for me.
And I think that, when I talk to young people, I talk about the fact that while you're an undergrad, get engaged with the Alumni Association
Mm-hmm.
so that when you graduate, you still feel a part of that space.
For sure.
That's your tribe. That's
For
part of
sure.
your tribe. You spend a lot of quality time there. You've paid homage to several individuals who've impacted your life. Let's talk about this play that's coming up. Let's talk about no, no, let me back up for a minute. Let's talk about your experience in corporate first, and
Okay.
then let's talk about the entrepreneurial move that you've made.
Okay. Corporate, corporate. Where?
We
um,
know.
I I know you know. I know
Hmm.
you know it. I think I'm one of the last ones, a part of my generation. I'm a millennial. I will start by saying that. I apologize. However, I'm a part of the hardworking ones, right? To
Yes, yeah.
where we would take work home with us. And this was
Your mama
before,
wouldn't have it any other way. Keep talking.
ma'am, this is before you had like your personal computer or
Hmm.
whatever. Like we would stay at work until
Hmm.
the janitorial staff came in because we still needed to get these things out.
Yeah.
So I kind of my no line is no path is linear. So I started off at as a city employee actually at the convention center in their public
Hmm.
relations department.
Hmm.
And then moved on from there and went to family law,
Hmm.
and was taking writing briefs. I telling you that was so much fun. I mean, not the
Hmm.
topic, but the writing the brief.
Hmm.
I'm like, this is a story. I'm crafting a narrative, right?
Yeah.
And then from there went on and started working in music and
Hmm.
in entertainment.
Hmm.
And the corporate big business, right, is you are a number. And I
Hmm.
didn't understand that at the time. I took on ownership of it, right? I'm like, it has my daddy's name on it. I got to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed. I have to make sure that I do my absolute best. And with work, I'm promising you at least 12-hour days,
Hmm.
and had nothing left in because I had poured everything out.
Hmm.
And I knew that it wasn't my purpose, right?
Hmm.
And so on the corporate side of things, I was really good at scheduling. I was really good at multitasking. And sometimes when your corporation understands what you're really really good at,
Yeah. That's
they're
baby
like,
stuff.
"Oh, we can just you can do this too. Oh, great! And then you can do that
Hmm.
too. And then you keep."
Hmm.
And the kind of break or happened for me when I realized, okay, well, you guys keep adding things on to my plate, but you're not adding to my income. You're
Hmm.
not, and that's
Hmm.
my health is becoming a
Hmm.
factor here. Because if I
Hmm.
fall out on the floor, you're just gonna provoke the other person sitting next to me
Correct.
to
Correct.
do the 10 things I was doing.
Yeah.
And so that's when the light bulb went off, and I said, okay, well, no, what do you want to do?
Hmm.
Let's do that. And
Hmm.
went back to, what have you been doing since you were 8? Even when you're scheduling things, you're writing emails, crafting a narrative like,
Yeah.
hello, this
Yeah.
musical artist needs to get into the studio
Right.
tonight for the following reasons, right? Or no, you can't go into her office right now because you didn't have an appointment. Let's have a
Hmm.
conversation about that. And so I went back to, okay, well, let me start my own business because people need help writing. I had friends who would come to me, can you do my resume? Can you do this? Can you do my cover letter? And that's how the business side of things started for me. I've always been, not always, but it's harder for me to talk about myself and not now, but it's, And I turned that into, one of my friends was like, you should turn this into a business. I said, what? This is easy. I just, what? You're crafting a story. Or even in college, they were like, we have a 15-page paper due tomorrow. Can you do mine too? Sure, I got you. Because it was easy for me. And I didn't know that that was, by mom, I didn't know that that was a skill that could be monetized, right?
Right.
And so that's where Kindred Spirit came in. And that was named for my grandfather and my little cousin that have very much our kindred spirits.
Mhm.
But as I said, there were so many businesses that with that name, so we had to do a change a couple of years ago. But that's how I went from, I thought that everybody could write. I thought everybody could. I thought my gift was something that everyone had. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until a friend shared with me, like, no, this is a gift.
Mhm.
You have a gift. And this is a, and then in corporate, once I realized, okay, I'm feeling um less of myself when I don't write. And so even in the strike, because I'm a part of the Writers Guild, not being able to do something. I mean, I could write during the strike, right? But I couldn't.
Mhm.
And having someone else be the reason for that
Mhm.
was heart wrenching. I hated it.
Mhm.
But I mean, that is where the production came from. So 10 years ago, I wrote a stage play called Take This Man. And it was about a young woman deciding between two marriage proposals and the unlikely source that helped her come to a decision. And we premiered to a sold out audience of, I want to say, more than 600 people. It was just a blessing. And really, I have prayed. My prayer was, Lord, if this is for me, if this is what you want for me to do, then please show me.
Mhm.
And for me, the answer was when I came outside from Video Village, the line to get in was wrapped around the corner. I said, "Oh, okay. Thank you, God. I had this is my this is my confirmation." And I didn't think it was gonna take 10 years for us to get to the second one. But some things in life had to happen. I'm now married, I'm a mom, and so that's all influenced to Love on Retreat. And it's heartfelt, it's comedic, it's um reflective. I think if anything, our main prayer is that it's healing for those who are
Mhm.
in attendance for it this weekend.
So,
Listen,
one of the, as I'm sorry,
no,
as
that was
one of
me,
the,
but go ahead.
okay, as one, I got one or two more things, Crystal. I think it's critically important, and Crystal and I and Joseph, Bianca, everybody on here.
Mhm.
These are what we call our correspondents, our usual suspects, Rochelle. These are the people that dial in every week. And one of the things that we always make sure everybody understands that you need to know your numbers, right?
Mhm.
You need to know your numbers. I hear you with your skill set, with
Mhm.
your natural talent to write. I hear the passion of wanting to do that. I see the trail of the trajectory of how you got to where you are right now. But
Mhm.
what are some of the nuances around financing this stuff? Because it certainly can't be, it's not for none of this, no entrepreneurial work is for the faint at heart because you're
No, it is
constantly
not.
chasing money and chasing opportunity and that type of thing like that. And so, what were those classes, or what is the guidance that was given to you as a person in the sector that you operate in?
Repeat clients, repeat
Mhm.
clients, repeat clients. In the beginning, I was just operating off of word of mouth, and you
Mhm.
can imagine how um, fluctuating that is for a business,
Mhm.
right? Some
Mhm.
months you have 10 clients, some months you're trying to find a client.
Mhm.
But having a repeat client system as well as
Mhm.
having a subscription
Mhm.
um, program to where people
Mhm.
can come and say, okay, well, maybe I'm not able to attend your seminar that you have, on Saturday, but on a monthly basis, I could get with you, right? Or I can
Mhm.
access this recording of
Mhm.
the seminar that you had on Saturday, and then ask you questions about that too. So the subscription base was a eye-opening experience for me, and it was one of the things that I learned in the Intuit program actually last
Mhm.
year. having a monthly subscription service that we're able to that clients are able to take advantage of. That then you would have my time either on a one-on-one basis or in small groups, depending on which subscription that you choose. For productions, that money is different.
Yeah,
Because you have
certainly.
a crew, you have a cast, you have a venue, you have
Mhm.
um they have to
Marketing,
eat, you
promotion.
have marketing, you have production, you have makeup, you have wardrobe. I mean, it's just that is something that I've been blessed to have, I call them angel aunties who have come in and just taken a hold of it. But the funding for that is something that I would say, as long if your pitch is together, you can go and get the money from different grants. You can go and get it from banks. There are the LA Urban League,
Sources.
right? There's
Sources.
different resources, especially for the arts, especially in LA County, that you can apply to. I was fortunate enough to, at least for the first one, I paid for it out of my own pocket, and then Angel Aunties came and helped me with the second one. But that the other things that I have been able I've personally been successful with was the Urban League, having the repeat clients who don't, if they're not able to go ahead and give, they will find me someone else. They've been my marketing team. They've been, kind of the people on the front lines who have made sure that those numbers have been steady. And I've been really appreciative of that.
I think that I'm just one last tidbit for me. I think you're onto something here with your that 1 day workshop that you're doing. I think that you really need to think about clusters. You got 8-year-olds, up to 12-year-olds, and then the 13 to 18-year-olds. I think as they start to prepare for the next school year or for the next grade that they're going to go into, most parents are not versed in writing. They're not. And so I think that you might want to think about how do I commoditize that kind of effort? Because especially, with the summers coming up, my granddaughters were in a cooking class
Oh,
for a
wow.
whole week, and they learned how to make charcuterie boards. They learned how to make a
Oh.
soup. They learned how to make a stir fry. So what I'm saying is take your writing skills and look at how do I commoditize that with the marketplace that's out there that has a great need. And then you got a whole nother category of these pre-college kids,
Right.
to get them ready for the SATs, get them ready to write their, to write their
Their
college
entrance.
applications. I think that there's some opportunity there. We have a young lady, Yolande, who's just joined us, who's doing some exceptional work in the community around education. It's good to see you, sister. I'm turning this over to Crystal. Crystal, go ahead.
Oh, you're on mute.
Get
You're on mute.
unmuted.
You're
There you
still on.
go.
There you go.
So much. Wow, script writing, storytelling is something that we're encouraging our business owners to do, right? So I think that's a population.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone on this call right here, you're forced to write something somewhere, even if it's just a Facebook post or an Instagram post,
Yes.
or at least to be able to get it in your head so that you can use the proper prompt in AI and Chat GPT or whichever one you want to use. But I think it's very important. I see that, I teach not only adults and coach adults, but I teach kids how to become business owners, entrepreneurs. So I have a program that I do with the Urban League. And that's one of the things we're teaching them how to write their business plan, right? But because they're pitching, young kids pitching to adults who are in the business world, there has to be a story that goes along with that. Because one, like how you 10 years old or 13-year-old gonna run a business, right? But if you have a great story, then they buy into it all. The minute Robin's been a guest and she's been a coach with this camp a couple times, and it's the story, right, Robin, that just knocks you off your feet, and you're looking at
Yeah.
this little one, and they're so articulate in it. But we go through a process, And these kids are learning this in 3 weeks. So business owners, on the other hand, when I am coaching and I'm suggesting things, and they're like, and a lot of the pushback is because being able to write something is not comfortable for them all, right? And so I think that would be a viable network or consistent clients, especially your script writing class, because once you get it under, so that's business owners. But on the other side, those that are writing grants, because now that grant got to be so well written, and it can't be talking about the impoverished children in our community. It's got to talk about how they're going to benefit, what the outcomes are going to be, what the matrix are going to be, and how many people are you going to impact, and how does that help the bottom line, their dollars, and because grantors and sponsors no longer are no longer looking to the warm and fuzzy. They ain't trying to sponsor warm and fuzzy anymore. They don't care about that. They need to understand where that's coming from. So within the network of nonprofits, and I'm going to refer you to a group that I use. They're called Urban Awareness, and they have some amazing workshops and classes for for nonprofits to make sure they're successful in their writing for grants. And they also have a slew of, they're tapped in to where grants are out there. And so they do from time to time, for those of us that are members, and we joined, my nonprofit joined last year, have these incredible workshops on this type of topic. So I'm going to refer you over to Tracy. And because I think you should get into that platform, and in the Grantsmanship Center as well. That would be where the powerhouses are looking, and they're providing lists of grants that are out there. And so, how do I go about doing that? Because everyone is not a writer, as you said, Yolanda. Urban Awareness is like the thing, man, and they're Black, all of them. One lady, she just like gets in there and preaches about going out there and getting the money that's there. And so you're encouraged to go get money. And several of our grants for my tennis program came from there.
Wow.
Because they send it out on regular. So I'll get you that information. That's really incredible. Let me ask this question. This is when you're at LMU. So there was a spin-off of, what was this show with Tracy Ross and
Girlfriend?
Blackish.
Not Girlfriend. Blackish. But then the daughter and the son went to,
I love
wasn't that LMU?
Grownish,
right? And wasn't
I love
the
that
LMU?
show.
No, it wasn't, because it looked like it was, because I've been over there a couple times. Like, this look, because they were having always the protests and all that sort of stuff. And
if you've seen All American or All American Homecoming, All American Homecoming is filmed on a tennis court at LMU.
Oh, okay. And then the other day I was at the BBA's, the Black BBA's, a salute to Black women, or salute to women, and that's their annual event that they have. And I met this young lady. She looked like she was about 12, but 13, but she literally was 17. And I asked her, "Are you interested in being an entrepreneur?" And she goes, "No." I said, "Oh, well, what is it you're interested in doing?" And she goes, "I'm interested in being an actress." And I said, "You do know that's self-employment, right?" And I asked her, "Why don't you want to be an entrepreneur?" She said, "This is too hard." And then when she told me she wanted to go in that business, I was like, "Oh my goodness, child!" But
connect the dots, darling. Connect the dots.
So her mom, the young lady wants to go to Juilliard. And so the mom was like, I'm trying to direct her in the right place. But I told her, I was telling her she should reach out to those that are already doing. If you don't mind, I'd love to introduce her to you, because they just want the craft, right? It is so much more than the craft. And I tell her, just because you want to be an actress doesn't mean you're going to be a successful actress. You got to know people. That is how you work in that business. You got to know folks. And so I was giving her some information. And so her mom was like taking copious notes. But a lot of people don't in the creative industry doesn't know that they're in business, right?
You are.
Yeah, you are, because
your whole face. If you're an actor, your whole face, your body, your everything is your. That's your business.
That's your business, and so everything that goes into the rest of us in our businesses, the financials, the marketing, the whatever. You don't just just because they're doing it for you. But at first, it's you marketing you. You're the product, and so I think that is something that needs to be addressed. And from time to time, I have a number of kids that are coming in that are dancers in the Biz Camp, and because I try to tap into what their passions are, and for them to build businesses around that artist, and so there's a lot of creative kids in school, but it's not being nurtured in school.
No, that's not.
Yeah. The creativity is, because I'm sure, not one of your teachers, if you told them that you wanted to be a writer, thought anything about you going into the actual business. They don't think that's a money-making industry.
It was a pat, like, oh, baby, that's so good. Now, what are you going to do for money? You could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be
Indian chief.
Anything but what you talking about.
I said, but I want to write. No, be a doctor, baby. Then you can write on the side. Oh, okay.
Let me just add to that. I think that people tend to have such a narrow view of things. I remember when I was doing, as a lender, I have a lending background. And I was at a conference, and someone asked me to come and speak to a group of people that specialize in REOs, real estate owned, folks that have been foreclosed on. And I said, and the market was crazy. And I said, but you guys are brokers. At the end of the day, you're a broker. At the end of the day, you're a writer. So writing, in which you've illuminated really, really well, that writing comes it's involved in everything that we do. And so when you're looking at revenue streams, because again, this is a business show, when you're looking at revenue streams, then, my contention is you don't just poo-poo on the stuff that you don't like.
Correct.
You might have to do the stuff you don't like in order to generate the revenue to do the stuff that you're passionate about, right?
Correct.
And so you let me say this as well. The time that you spend in corporate was good time. Because at the end, I tell people, when you spend time in corporate, it gives you an idea, an understanding of how the whole system operates.
Correct.
And then that way, if you're going to go out on your own, you know that I need these 5 things. I need to have this in place immediately. This is my mid-level stuff that I need, and this is my long-term things that I need to take care of. And so again, Crystal, thank you for talking about urban awareness. I think the world of them. There is so much grant money out here. And Rakina, one of the things you may want to think about is to have a for-profit and a nonprofit arm.
Okay.
Because your nonprofit arm could be doing workforce training, right? Your nonprofit arm could be providing filling in some of these gaps that are missing because there are no management training programs, because people don't understand that if you don't put anybody on the bench, when you build this great business, who are you going to pass it to, right? Correct. And so again, I think that to me, the business model today is to also have, you got your for-profit lane, but you also have your social enterprise lane that really is your nonprofit that allows you to access some of these dollars that are out there that are consistent. You get a grant, it may be for multi-year, especially if you're talking about training people. You are training people how to write. You're training people how to tell their story, and you're educated. You've passed, and I can say this amongst this group. We know we have to bat 1,000 to get to the 100 table, right? So you're batting 1,000 because you've gone to the major universities, you've taken advantage of that, you've worked in corporate, so all of those things create some lanes for all of that.
For sure.
You weren't in those spaces just to matriculate and get out. You have to create a lane for everything that you just talked about today. And from a coaching perspective, That's what I tell people. Look at all of the things that you've touched
Right.
and look at that lane and how that lane overlaps with the next lane. It's kind of like when the freeways start to merge. You got all of these freeways going on, but somewhere along the line, some of them merge together. And
For
I
sure.
think that people don't think that way.
They
When
don't.
folks are saying that they don't want to work in corporate, to me, you're missing the mark.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you
Mm-hmm.
have to stay there,
Right.
but it gives you the training ground to see how the whole system operates, the
Correct.
operational system, the financial system, the,
Mm-hmm.
the tools that are needed, the
Right.
resources that are needed. And
Right.
so, you know what? I'm so proud of you.
Thank
I'm so
you.
very. I've known this young lady since she was a little bitty girl. She's a she's a church girl. She's very, very active in church. And she and Joe Luckey is her husband. He's on her board. They have created a beautiful family.
Thank
And
you.
Journey, her little girl Journey, has the most beautiful diction for what she's 4. Is she
She's
4?
five. Five.
She's 5. She has the
Yeah.
most beautiful diction of any 5-year-old, along with the fact that she has this personality. It's
Oh.
just,
Oh
and you
my.
guys, she comes to church, she got on her gloves and her purse.
Oh boy.
She ain't just dressed up. She got on her jewelry, she got on her gloves and her purse. Okay. And the
Right.
beautiful
Your
thing,
mama
Is
one
that
too.
wait a minute? Is that grandma or one of the aunts?
wait. No, because she's in love with my one of my grandsons. So I believe in
Mm.
arranged marriages.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Right.
looking for great product.
You're
It
grooming,
ain't no
huh?
shame in my game when it comes to that. This is how every other community does it. In some kind of way, we forgot that that's how good families are built.
Hmm.
She's been
I,
telling me this since she was 2.
Renee, I know you got something to say. Come on, Renee.
oh Lord, I just love what you're doing. What
Thank
are
you.
how? Well, first of all, I had a little niece who's a film writer now, and she
Mm,
Okay.
started writing me when she was about 10 or 11, and I had
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
just had a baby, so I couldn't get into it. And I'm so sorry I didn't because she's producing film. She has probably about 10 films out there. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just amazing. But anyway, what are you doing for older people? Did I miss that part? No,
She said that I missed that part.
The thing,
I was
I've had a few clients recently who have beautiful stories, but
yeah.
have put it off on telling them. And so now we're meeting up and they're telling me, in 19, 20 something when they met their husband or in 19, whatever, and how that experience was, and then getting married and moving to California, and then taking those recordings and making them into memoirs
So you do
for
help
them.
older
Yes,
people.
of
Okay.
course.
The
Of
reason
course.
I ask is because I'm involved in the Lamert Park Theater group. And
Yes.
I have a gentleman right now who had a fantastic play called Tracking the Tiger. And
Okay.
it's about Marcus Garvey. And
Mm,
Oh.
he everything there comes as a reading, but
Hmm.
he got such a great response from the audience, he decided to write a full-fledged play.
I
And
love
he
it.
mhm.
did, and it was well attended. And now he's thinking about making, well, he already, I said, you ought to make a film into this.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So that's the specific reason I'm asking, and because he's never done it before, and I've sent him
Okay.
everything that I know about getting involved and so forth. So I want to send them to you.
I would
Yeah.
love to.
And how do you charge?
What do you mean?
You have
For
to
your
charge.
Oh, well, that's a different project because that would mean that you would have me, I would be with him every step of the way. Because right now he just has the play and he needs to change the play to a film.
Right.
And then he would need help with the production. So that would be that normally it's an hourly rate, but that project would be different.
Okay.
It would
Like,
be
and I think when it comes to, and let me just say this as a business person, um, you can quote a price, but you don't really know the price until you meet that person, see what they're coming to the table with, and what real resources do they need, right?
Mhm.
And so again, I'd be very, very careful about putting out a price just in general,
Right.
unless it's for some kids. This is
Right.
going to be a week's worth of workshops or
Right.
3 weeks worth of workshops.
Right.
And the other thing that I was saying, and you and everybody on here would agree, we have a knack for Black kids being out of school for the whole summer, right?
Mm,
To me, that's a great opportunity for us to remediate some of the stuff because most of us on here probably actually went to summer school.
yes.
I didn't have to, I did. I
Lord.
went all through high school, all through college. Every
Same.
every semester in college, I took in at least one class. And
Mhm.
so again, I think that those are good opportunities for you. But Renee, again, I think it is making connecting these people who are like-minded, who are working in the same industry, and they can help each other. That's going to be wonderful.
And
I want to say
I
one more
think
thing.
I'm
When
sorry.
when we heard you speak last week, when we heard the announcement of Love on Retreat, I dialed up the theater, the Miracle. I'm going.
Yeah,
Thank
we're going. I'll see you
you.
there.
I'm gonna get my
I'll see
ticket.
you
I
there.
gotta talk to my sister to see if she's going. I've
Thank
been
Thank
You
so
there?
busy, but I
Yep.
will be there as well because I love going
you.
to plays. I talk to my girlfriends and
Yes.
see if they're back in town. I love plays, and we try to do that at least once a quarter. We started that about 4 or 5 years ago. Play,
Mhm.
so we're gonna make sure we get to your play as well.
Oh,
You have been
Yay.
awesome. I am
wait, wait.
sorry
Thank
I
you
got one
were
more
you.
not
question. One more
okay.
question. What was the first play that you saw, and what is your most favorite theater production to date?
Oh, um,
It was probably in school.
uh, uh, the first play that I saw that I remember was The Wiz.
Ah,
That's
Um,
That was
and
a good one.
Carter.
and then the next year I was in it. I was one of the Munchkins. And then my favorite one, I don't know that I have a favorite one. August Wilson is
Anything by
just
August
beautiful.
Wilson.
Anything by him is just amazing. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
period.
think my favorite what was the play that was the women all dressed up? Oh gosh, it was in I
Women on
remember.
Brewster Street? No.
No, this was a
That was a
musical.
great one.
Rochelle, what about you? What was your favorite play?
A play that I loved was Cicely Tyson, Something Bountiful.
Oh, A Trip to
Yes.
Oh,
Bountiful.
yes, A Trip to Bountiful.
Yes,
That
that
was
was
amazing.
So
beautiful.
good.
Yeah,
That
That
was
was
yeah.
truly
beautiful.
amazing. It
Hmm.
was
That was
truly amazing.
beautiful.
What about you, Renee?
I don't know. I've seen so many. Nothing's
Yeah.
just jumping out.
But A Trip to Bountiful was so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Bianca?
there's been some amazing plays. I saw Nutcracker for the very first time. Debbie Allen. I've seen
Hot
it
Oh, the
chocolate.
chocolate.
on
Uh-huh.
stage, but I've never seen that one. Oh my God, I was
Yeah.
blown away. That was
Yes, it
now
Mm-hmm.
is.
going to be part of our
Annual.
holiday thing,
Yes.
annual thing. I've
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
seen the one that was at Pavilion, and,
Mm-hmm.
and
No,
I,
no, no.
Yeah,
but
that's
Hot
good.
chocolate
this
nutcracker is a
one
whole
is a whole different thing.
It's a whole
It was
it
different
awesome.
goes back to what Rakina said earlier. It's the nuances of who we are and how we
thing.
deal with this kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It really it's
It
an
was
annual.
definitely
It is an
beautiful. That
annual.
was my
You
first one. What
gotta
about you,
Yolanda,
add
Yolanda?
you gotta
you
add Lula Washington's Kwanzaa. That's my
Oh yeah, I've been
yes,
to
annual event.
Kwanzaa as
Yes.
Hi,
well
Yeah.
too.
Yolanda.
yes,
Her annual
Yes.
yes,
morning, her annual
Oh.
Kwanzaa dance show is off the
It's
chain,
off
and
the chain.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that should be on
yes,
everybody's. You should do Debbie Allen's hot chocolate, and then you go to hers after Christmas for Kwanzaa.
yes,
You know,
Yes,
yes,
it's
yes.
awesome,
That's
awesome.
the
That's just
plan.
all the talent that we have right here in our community is incredible.
and I want
Absolutely
to say to the
incredible.
script writer, you need to come to the Knowledge Shop. I run summer camps. Have been doing it like Crystal for over 40 years, 15
Wow.
in 10 years in Los Angeles, and I'd be more than happy to do a week. We had a white script writer that we met at the Annenberg Beach House come and do it for free for the children.
I love
So, but
that.
it's not the same as connecting the blackness to the stories.
For
So I
sure.
would love to invite you. I'll put my
Thank
information
you.
in the chat. I'm on 54th and Crenshaw. Everybody knows who I am, so you'd be more than welcome.
She don't play. She don't play.
Right. I'm down the street.
Yeah, she has an awesome, she's awesome. And right now is a good time as we get ready to close out. Right now is a good time for all of us. We all have stories, and the world is changing right now with what's happening in the world. This is the time that we need to tell our stories, especially because there are some of our ancestors that got out of here that did not tell their stories. And so we need to tell that. Everyone has a story. I remember my grandmother when we were watching Roots, and she was sitting there, and Granny at 80, she was already talking stuff, and she was always going back in the past. And we just like, okay, Grandma. And she was sitting there, and a scene came by, and she goes, I've played at that in that backyard. And I went, wow. Grandma. And then we turned out when we started doing our ancestry, she was absolutely right. She had, and we did. Nobody recorded it because everybody was thinking, yeah, Granny, you're just doing your thing. So again, I even say, if you still got your grandparents, put a microphone up to them, because when they talking, that's a story right there, boy. And so, and they've given us bits and pieces of it. So, Rakina, we want to thank you for joining us. I'm sorry I didn't get to be your coach during the Intuit, but you obviously got me doing the workshops that I did for them. And so anyone else is interested, they're getting ready. It doesn't come out of the Urban League at this point, but they are getting ready to recruit for the Intuit's Idea 4.0. I can let you guys know when that happens. And then Rakina, the County of Los Angeles has a number of grants, has a grant out there, and there's a couple others that are out there. I'll send them over to you. And so with that, and our guest next week is Jamaica Marshall. This is one incredible young lady. She actually used to work for the Urban League. She was VP of programs, and she wrote some grants that kept the Biz Camp. So we definitely have an affinity for her because she loves Biz Camp and Biz Institute. And every time, we never had a worry about funding. And so she'll be on next week. My understanding, she was at LA STEM. She's no longer there. She's now solopreneuring, doing her own thing, helping nonprofits create strategy on finding funding for their businesses. So you really want to be here. Anyone else that that has a nonprofit, that this would be a great time for them to come, because she is out there looking for her own, do her own business. Now she is now self-employed because she wasn't pleased with where she was, and she said, Crystal, I saw her a couple weeks ago. She says, I never knew this is a new micro what do you call those micro racial comments?
Microaggression.
She said they told me that I was doing too much too well.
Oh no.
What?
Sounds right.
That's why 600,000 black women have lost their jobs, because we do too much too well, and we need to work for ourselves. That's what we all need to do. Is walk out of these institutions, let them crumble, and then that's what I do, and then charge them millions to do what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Because how in the world do you do something too well, too much and too well?
They're so used to mediocrity, Crystal. That's why they're used to it.
Yeah, and it's sad to say, again, that's how I left banking.
Yeah,
that's how I left supplier diversity. Because you have to know who you are, and you have to create a village and a community and a tribe that supports you. Because if you listen to what these people say to us about us, then we, go and get into bed, pull the covers over your head, and turn the lights out.
Because
I just put it in the chat box. There's another organization that I volunteer with called Right Girl. They are doing amazing work with these young women. So if you have young ladies that I strongly suggest people check them out. They're generally speaking, they're online. The meeting lasts 1 hour. It starts and it ends within that 1 hour. But the amount of information that they provide and the exposure that they have on learning how to write your story and how to write anything really is critically important. This has been fabulous. We're a little bit over time.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank
We
you.
just love you. You always can come back. I may
Oh, wait. You've been deemed our writing correspondent.
Yeah.
Which means you have to come back on a regular basis and check in with us.
Okay? Yes, ma'am. We'll do.
and we're going to come out and support you. And please let us know whenever you have something going on so that your family, your community briefing family will come out and support you. Thank you all for being here. We so appreciate you for supporting the community briefing. Please share. Go over to our YouTube channel. Not all of them are up there, but most of them up, and I'm going to get a number of the rest of them up this weekend. Share those with your friends and family. We want to grow, and if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do, and then go over to our Facebook page and subscribe to the community briefing there. We'll get one over to Instagram for our millennials and our Gen X's, and so do that. But thank you so much, Rakina. Anytime.
I got one more thing. I want Bianca, please, Bianca, tell us what's going on with your baby.
Oh, hi everyone. So my daughter started the Little Sunshine Foundation when she was 14 years old because she saw a need in the community to help underserved youth in her school, and then it grew out to like all of California, academic, sports, and empowerment of youth. And so, they've won a lot of awards because it's her and but it was 10, 14-year-olds going out in the community, talking in churches at City Hall to help other kids to see that they don't have to be rich or old to make a difference in their life. We are having a fundraiser on Saturday, and we're so excited. We got a private country club that sponsored it, and so we're very excited about that. If you want any information, it's sunshineroyale.org. We were sold out at another table, and it's going to be really, a very fun event. It's also casino and bingo and live music. So it's going to be a great celebration. We only do this every year. I mean, every 2 years, because she is in college trying to get to medical school.
What's the address again, Bianca?
It's sunshineroyale.org. That gives you all the
Royale,
ROYALE.org. Or you can email me, Bianca, at vobecky.com, VOVECKY. Like I said, we sold out, but we're able to add another table. So we do have a couple of tickets available. So we're very excited.
Awesome.
She's exceptional.
I'm going to close out the show and take us off record. But so thank everyone for joining us this week. And we will see you next week at 11 a.m. on Thursday. Have a fantastic weekend.
Invite somebody.
And bring somebody the next time. And we're going to come off record. You guys can still stay, but we're going to stop recording so you can say whatever you want when I come off of recording.
Is Rakina still